Hello and welcome to my channel. In today's video we're going to be looking at the best dive watches you can find for $50 or less. Let's begin. Timex Expedition, model number T46681. Timex specializes in making affordable but reliable timepieces, and this watch is no different. This Expedition retails for around $60, but can be purchased on Amazon right now for $40 or less. It has a case diameter of 40 millimeters and is only 10 millimeters thick. It has a leg width of 20 millimeters and only weighs in at 2.24 ounces. Taking a look at the watch, we have a crown at the 3 o'clock, and it features a day-date complication, as well as Timex's patented Indiglo backlighting. At 100-meter water resistance, this watch would surely be fine to swim in or even to shower in, but professional scuba diving is definitely out with this watch. Like most Timex's, it runs on a quartz movement and has a mineral crystal. It also comes on this great looking calfskin band. Looking at Amazon prices, you can see this watch comes in just over $30. And with over 1,000 reviews and a 4 out of 5 star rating, you can be sure that you're going to get a great value for money. Moving on to my number one choice from Timex, and it's the Timex Expedition XL, model number T49950J. This Timex retails around $80, but can be found on Amazon for around $50. It has a 48mm case diameter and is 17 millimeters thick. While that certainly seems like a very large watch, it only weighs in at 2.88 ounces. So while it's one of the largest watches on the list today, it's also one of the lightest. This watch is packed with features. It has a 200-meter water resistance, a vibration alarm, a stopwatch, a countdown timer, just to name a few. But my favorite part of this watch is without a doubt that very large display, making it extremely easy and legible to read. Looking at the prices and reviews on Amazon, you can see that this watch comes in a few dollars over our budget, but I included it on this list because I have seen this watch marked down as low as $42 in the past. With almost 500 customer reviews averaging 4 out of 5 stars, this watch is looking like a real winner. The Timex Expedition comes in a ton of variations, sizes, colors, and case shapes. So if you don't like this watch or the watch previous, take a look around. You're going to be able to find a Timex that will fit your needs. Moving on from Timex to Invicta, we're going to be taking a look at the Invicta Pro Diver line. Before we start discussing this watch, I have to mention the elephant in the room. Invicta gets a bad rap from the watch community. Sure, they aren't the best watches in the world, and a lot of their watches are homages, but for the $50 mark, I think they make some of the best options on the market. The first watch we're going to be looking at is Pro Diver model 8933. This watch, like most Invictas, has a ridiculous price tag. For their retail price tag, almost $400. But don't worry, no one's going to pay that. It's on Amazon right now between $45 and $55. The watch itself has a 38mm case diameter and a 12mm thickness. It comes on this 18mm steel bracelet. The watch features a crown at the 3 o'clock, a date complication with the Cyclops magnifier, and while it does have a 200-meter water resistance, the crown is push, not screw down. So I would say this watch is perfect for anyone who likes to shower or swim or snorkel, but probably not the best option for professional divers. The Pepsi bezel is unidirectional, and the lume on this watch is actually decent for $50. Lastly, this watch features a Japanese quartz movement, caliber PC32A. Looking at the prices on Amazon, you can see once again we're coming in just over that $50 mark, but these Invictas are always on sale, most of the time way below the $50 mark. With only 11 reviews, this isn't the most popular watch on Amazon, and this could be a new seller, but I really like that Pepsi bezel and white dial. You don't see it very often in the watch community, and I think it really pops. I think it's a pretty solid option for the money. Moving on to the next Invicta Pro Diver, we have the 9204 with that blue bezel and dial. I really like this watch. I really like blue, so when I see a blue bezel and dial, it really pops. Another Invicta and another crazy retail price around $400, but never pay anything more than $50 for an Invicta quartz watch. Case diameter on this 38 millimeters and thickness of 12. And once again, you're getting the 18 millimeter steel bracelet. Unidirectional bezel again with a push crown at the 3. We also have the date complication once again with the Cyclops magnifier. And at 200 meter water resistance, you definitely can swim and shower in this thing. Looking at the prices on Amazon, this bad boy comes in well under the $50 mark and even under the $45 mark at $44.99. And with almost 500 reviews and 4 out of 5 stars, I think we found another affordable winner from Invicta. Next up, we have another Pro Diver from Invicta, model number 8935. This watch once again retails for $400 and sells on Amazon between $45 and $55. All the specs are exactly the same as the last two watches, 38mm case, 12mm thickness, but this watch features that beautiful two-tone look with stainless steel and gold plating. This definitely looks way more expensive than it really is, but keep in mind that gold plating is a rather cheap metal. It scratches way easier than stainless steel does, as well as real gold. So if you do get this watch, it will show wear rather quickly if you're a little rough on watches like I am. But nevertheless, I love the aesthetics of this watch. It has the look of luxury, especially since they took the gold plating onto the bezel and the crown. It really completes this watch, especially with that blue dial. I think it really pops. So if you really want a watch that looks expensive for $50, I think this is the one for you. Looking at Amazon, you can see this watch retails for $400 and it's under $50 on Amazon. So with over 800 reviews, 4 out of 5 stars, you can tell a lot of people like this watch because of the way it looks, the luxury, and the aesthetic of an expensive die watch. I really like this Invicta. And finally, we have my choice from Invicta Pro Dive line. It's model number 8932. Same specs as the last three with a 38mm case and 12mm thickness, a 200 meter water resistance, and that Cyclops magnifier that we either love or hate. But for me, this just has Rolex Submariner written all over it, but for 1/20th of the price. It's that classy black dial, black bezel on a stainless steel case. My biggest gripe with all the Invictas is obviously the case size. I have rather large wrist, and 38's pretty small for a diver, but if you have smaller wrist or even regular wrist, this should fit you pretty well. At 38mm, there's probably some wrist that it won't fit like mine, but most people shouldn't have a problem pulling it off. And if you look at the price, right up against that $50 mark, with almost 2,000 reviews on Amazon and 4 out of 5 stars, you can see why this one is the pick of the bunch from Invicta. Moving on from Invicta, we're going to be looking at the company who makes the best dive watches for $50 or less, and that company is Casio. We're going to start off by looking at the line that I really love. It's the G-Shock line from Casio. And looking at the first one that I truly adore, it's the DW6900-1V. Now, this was the first G-Shock that I ever owned and really started my love affair with G-Shock. The watch features patented shock-resistant case, and if you're not familiar with these cases from G-Shock, I suggest you learn a little bit about the history. They torture test the hell out of these things before releasing them to the public. And if you haven't ever YouTubed G-Shock torture test, there's a lot of homemade versions of these torture tests that are quite hilarious, including people boiling them, dropping them from sky rises, running them over with trucks, all kinds of crazy, indestructible torture tests. And that's really what makes G-Shock so amazing. You can pretty much beat these things to hell and they'll never die on you. The watch has a case diameter of 44mm and a thickness of 16mm. The band is about 24mm. It is going to be included on the actual watch, so it's going to be tough to remove, but this is a great band. They're resin, so they're really tough and they're hard to break. This watch features a stopwatch, elapsed time, split time, first and second place times, as a countdown timer up to 24 hours, a multifunctional alarm, an hour time signal, a pre-programmed calendar until 2039, and of course it is on battery, so it's battery life of around 2 years, so you will have to get it changed every once in a while. But these things are really great. Looking at the prices on Amazon, you can see that these are going for right around $50. With almost 1,000 reviews and 4.5 out of 5 stars, these things are a real steal at $50. Moving on to a similar but lesser known G-Shock, we're going to be looking at the G-Shock DW-9052GBX-1A9DR. Quite a mouthful. Similar to the last watch, this G-Shock features 200 meter water resistance, a mineral crystal, rubber resin band. The watch has the electroluminescence backlight, a flash alert feature, stopwatch, countdown timer, a multifunction alarm, auto counter until 2099, a 2-year battery life, and once again we're looking right around that $50 price point. Has one review on Amazon, but this thing is one of the best watches out there. Not sure why it's so much less popular than the last watch, but this one is one of the better deals you can get for $50. Now, before I get onto the last G-Shock on this list, I do want to mention that G-Shock has a ton of different watches around this price point. As you can see here, there are 4 great examples of different watches you can get that I did not talk about. All of these watches have a lot of the same features as the watches on the list, so you're not really missing out with any of these. And you can get different colors, different looks, different shapes. A lot of options from G-Shock. And finally, we get to the legend itself. This is the G-Shock DW5600, and it is the best G-Shock you can buy for $50 or less. Some may argue this is actually the best tool/dive watch you can buy for $50 or less. There is one more watch on the list. This isn't the actual champion, but of the G-Shock line, this is 100% always going to be the winner at $50 price range. Now, before I get into the specs of the watch, we have to discuss the history behind this DW5600. This line started in 1987, and it's really where G-Shock got started. This line in particular has been produced for 32 straight years, the longest in G-Shock's history. They added new features recently like multi-band 6, which will set your time via radio signals, so you'll always have the most accurate time. And of course the solar features that keep you from having to change the battery life every few years. All you need is the sunlight. But looking at the actual model itself, we're going at 200 meter water resistance, so perfect for that dive watch. A flash alert, button guards, a bezel that protects the mineral crystal, and of course the trademark shock resistance that made everyone fall in love with G-Shock. It also has the electroluminescent backlight, a stopwatch, an auto repeater, and a calendar set to 2039. Looking at the price, we're well under the $50 here. You can see on Amazon there's about 3,000 reviews, 4.5 out of 5 stars. You can see why it's the #1 G-Shock for $50 or less. The best part is if you fall in love with this model in particular, that square look, there are literally hundreds of variations of this DW5600. There's different colors, positive displays, negative displays, solar powered ones, even 5600s on metal bracelets. You could have an entire watch collection of nothing but this model and probably would have a tough time getting bored with it. And at #1, there could only be one, and it is the Casio Duro Pro Diver, the best dive watch you can buy for $50 or less. Now you can see this retails around $70, but can always be found on Amazon between the $40 and $50 price range. This particular model is NDV106-1A, and one of the reasons I think this makes the best dive watch is because, especially if you're new to dive watches or new to watches in general, this is the perfect example of a classic dive watch. It has the rotating bezel, a screw down crown, 200 meter water resistance, and at $50 you're not going to find better. You may find more tools in the G-Shock that we just looked at, but this has that classic aesthetic of a dive watch like the Rolex Submariner. Now this watch is 44 millimeters wide. It has a thickness of 12 millimeters. The lug width is 22 millimeters, so if you do not like that rubber strap, you can easily do a quick strap change onto a NATO. The watch features 120 click unidirectional bezel. Not much action on this, A screw down crown at the 3. Yes, a screw down crown for $50 or less. Looking at the price on Amazon, we're actually well under the $50, and with around 200 or 2,500 reviews, 4.5 out of 5 stars, you know you're really getting the real deal. Now, if you stayed with me this long, I want to thank you so much. Please like and subscribe this video. And until next time, this has been Benny on a Budget. Have a great day.